All right. Thank you, families, for joining me for the information session around our Pennsylvania system of school assessment at Glenside Elementary School. I want to share that the purpose of this sharing tonight is to really just give you some overall information that you will need in terms of what the assessment um, includes and who takes the assessment and what some of your options are, and just really to address some frequently asked questions. There will be follow up emails related to logistics and schedules and procedures. But we need some information from you first before we create those procedures. And so at the end of this presentation, there will be a survey for you to take. Okay. All right. So why are we testing? So the Pennsylvania Department of Education, in accordance to the directive of the United States Department of Education, requires that school districts administer an annual state assessment. And so this data this year is really going to be used as a source of information for parents and educators to just sort of take stock in where we are, to target some resources, supports. It's not going to be used this year for accountability purposes the way it has in the past. So our school will not be graded in any sort of national way or state way. Our teachers will not, the information here will not be evaluated by, in terms of evaluation for teachers. It's really used this year to just see kind of where are we, what supports do we need, and what resources. I will share with you at the end a document that has some frequently asked questions. It's going to look like this, and you'll be able to read through exactly any additional information that may not be covered in the presentation that I give this evening. The students that will be tested are third and fourth graders. They will participate in the PSSA or PASA. The PASA assessment is for eligible students. A small group of eligible students will take PASA. That information would, if you were taking PASA, your family may have already been notified about that assessment. Otherwise, all other students will take the PSSA, and they'll be assessed in math, English language arts, and for fourth grade only, science. At this time, we are still gathering information as it relates to this pandemic about the opt-out procedures, but you will receive more information, and I can answer some questions at the end for any families that are interested in opting out. Our testing environment, all students will participate in person, all virtual and in-person scholars will test in person. The guidelines for our health and safety plan will still be followed. We'll still have 6 feet apart. We'll bring students in. We're going to use the online format this year. So we're not using paper and pencil. And so students will need a student district issued Chromebook. If you are an in-person family or a virtual family without a student district issued Chromebook, we will have them available on those testing days. Students will receive time with their teachers to receive tutorials on how to take the online version. This will be their first time ever, our first time ever, taking the online version of the PSSA. However, students have had some experience with online assessments, as you know, given that they're taking the Linkit online this year. There's a little URL here that once I share this out with you, you will be able to go to the state website and see some of the online practice tools. It's really covers a variety of things, but teachers will walk through the most salient points with students in terms to practice with them for the online test. There will be opportunities for us to pause for breaks, and lunch will be provided to all Cheltenham School District students. So all remote scholars and in-person scholars that come in on the day of the testing will receive lunch. For our remote only students, it's important to note that testing will take place in our school at Glenside. So at-home testing is not an option. Lunch will be provided for all students on the day of testing. The central office is now exploring the option for test transportation being provided in those testing days. So again, once we know from information from the survey about how many students to expect to be taking the assessment, that's another item that will be determined after we get some data from families. And then a district issue Chromebook will be made available for testing on testing days. Our timeline. So we're not looking for the PSSA to start until not prior to April 19th. We're actually looking for our first day to be April 19th. That may or may change based on the information that we receive in these surveys. But as of right now, April 19th is our testing window, beginning testing window. To help with scheduling the test, we're asking families to share some information on the state standardized testing survey. And so access to that survey will be provided on this next slide. And again, after the survey results are compiled, we will be able to be prepared to share with you a more detailed schedule of the assessment dates, as well as any procedures that you need to be made aware of. If you use your phone to use this QR code, you will have access to the survey. The survey was also shared in Dr. Smith's letter to families. And as you recall, I asked if we could please listen to the presentation first, and then we would give you an opportunity to take that survey. We need that information in order to continue our planning for the assessment. Just some other general information that you may be interested in knowing. The ELA portion of the survey there's 3 sections of that. So we're expecting about 3 days for ELA. For math, there are 2 sections. So we're expecting about 2 days for math. And then for 4th grade only, there's science, and there's 2 sections for science, and we're expecting about 2 days for science. Are there any questions about what I just shared or the survey before I stop the recording? Ms. Simonetti.
Yes, a quick question. You said that the online version would allow breaks, to pause for breaks. For students who have accommodations that allow them a longer period of time and more breaks, does the online version allow those accommodations?
Yes, it does.
All right, thank you.
They will receive those accommodations, even if the accommodations are small group. All students will have, extended time, as much time as they need to complete the assessment. So yes, that will remain the same.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'm going to stop the recording, but I will stay on to continue to answer questions, okay?
Michelle, before you stop, in the past, we've had snack provided by the district, but this year it will be lunch. And so it might be a consideration for parents to send in a healthy snack that they can have before the test.